So this is a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. I kind of held off on this topic. I try to give the gaming industry a bit of a chance to see if there have been any good games at all in the past few years, and there have been one or two good games in the past few years. Excuse me, as I clear my throat. But I'm not gonna lie, man. Like the gaming industry, I'm worried about it right now because I don't want to say it's been an open secret, but it's been a noticeable trend that game developers have been doing this on purpose, where AAA games that are coming out nowadays, they're just a pile of dog crap. Like every AAA game that comes out now is just shit. Like the gaming industry's in a massive rut, and I can name a few games off the top of my head to explain why. We had Fallout 76. We had Anthem. We had Marvel's Avengers. We had Cyberpunk 2077. We had Battlefield 2042. We have that pay to win franchise Madden that has been destroyed. You know what I'm saying? I think we can all agree that AAA games that just come out now are just terrible. Now, before I get too carried away, I will say there are some good AAA games that are still coming out that are actually made by good developers. A good example, Elden Ring from from Software, and then we had Final Fantasy VII Remake from Square Enix. Those are some fantastic AAA games. Don't get me wrong, there's like a handful of good games now, but right now and everything we just see now is just b- all the games that just come out are just broken live services that are unplayable like Battlefield 2042. We end up getting a game that has no content at launch, and then everyone has to wait 3 years from now just to get the game that they want, even though nobody plays the game 2 weeks after it launched, like Halo Infinite. I mean, for God's sakes, even games that are falsely advertised, like Halo Infinite, and all the people in the press conferences saying, "Oh, we're gonna add split screen later into all of our Halo games going forward after the disappointing Halo 5 Guardians." Here we are in Halo Infinite, where the developers once again straight up lie to everybody with no split screen co op, and everybody is furious. And now there's hashtags going on wishing that these developers were fired for lying to the entire gaming industry. And this has been going on for a few years now, maybe even a decade if we're really going to go back then. Now, the only good games that I play now are just the older titles, like what you're seeing for gameplay right now, Jack and Dexter the Precursor Legacy, or Sly Cooper the Thievius Raccoonus, or we got another forgotten game like Tack the Great Juju Challenge for the PS2. Like the older titles, like from PlayStation 2, or like The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker on the GameCube. And in the gaming industry, that should never happen. The fact that we have to go back to the older titles, well, me at least, the fact that I have to go back to the older titles and play these games like Jack and Dexter that has been out for 20 years ago, 10 years ago on the PS2 just to get a AAA experience again, that should almost never happen in 2022. But the unfortunate truth is, that's where I'm at right now for video games. Now, I will say this right now, I have been playing Monster Hunter Rise on my Nintendo Switch, and unlike the other gaming companies, at least Nintendo somewhat has an idea of making great games. At least they understand how to make good video games. Even though Monster Hunter Rise has been made by Capcom, but there have been other games as well. Don't get me wrong, Nintendo is also under this umbrella as well. I mean, a lot of people are still calling out Nintendo for their Mario Strikers Battle League game, and a lot of people have been criticizing the game because there's literally no content in the game still, and it's been a few months after launch, and I don't blame them. I mean, can we just get some good games to play around here? Or is every game in the gaming industry just going to be a complete cash grab? are these developers even trying anymore, or are they just intentionally trying to release a terrible product? Like, I just don't understand this mentality behind these game developers. Now, I will say this, I am trying to give these game developers more time. I learned my lesson from the Cyberpunk situation, and I'm understanding to give game developers more time and more effort. Don't get me wrong. I mean, after Cyberpunk, I mean, I heard that game's been getting a little better, but I mean, I'm still avoiding that game just because of what the CD Projekt Red has told us and lied to us about. So I'm still kind of iffy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sick and tired of getting constantly lied to with these falsely advertised trailers that said, "Oh, hey, this game's coming out this summer." And guess what? It's getting delayed until further notice. So, my one question is, if you're going to falsely advertise a game that comes out and none of the features are there, or you're going to falsely advertise this game's release date, why are you even advertising these games in the first place? If you know that these games need to be delayed, don't announce a release date for it. Like, if they come out and just say, "Hey, this is a game we're working on," here's a early trailer, but we're not announcing the release date. I mean, that's fine. You know, a lot of game developers come out with like a reveal trailer saying, "Hey, this is a game we're working on, but we're not giving out a release date." But a lot of other game developers have been releasing game trailers saying, "Hey, this game's coming out this month." Like, let's just say there is a game coming out this September, right? A random game that some people were interested in, and that game has been delayed to like December, for example, and they just they say it's gonna come out, but a lot of game developers are just delaying their games like 3 months, 10 months by now. And if you ask me personally, if the game's not ready, don't even advertise a release date for the game yet. If you need more time to work on the game, just work on the game. The way I understand this is, don't advertise a release date for your game if you're not confident. You need to get it right the first time. Now, a lot of people probably don't remember this, but if you ask me personally, I think right now that we're in the massive rut with the gaming industry, especially with the way that all these developers have been going about around their businesses lately, especially pulling anti-consumer moves with the gaming industry and just lying to people. And I'm starting to get tired of it. I'm starting to absolutely get tired of it. And the only games I really been buying now were like physical copies of games that I own. Like, for example, I own Pokemon Sword and Shield digitally, and I got a physical copy of Pokemon Shield for game preservation reasons. And that's another thing. A lot of these developers don't really care about game preservation at all. And a lot of these people are asking, can we please get a remake or a remaster of this game? Because a lot of other AAA games are just coming out like a pile of dog crap, and we don't want those. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I wouldn't mind getting a remaster of Jack and Dexter. I mean, it's been decades since the last Jack and Dexter game. I think it was Jack and Dexter Combat Racing, but after that, it's just been dead. Like, there's not been a peep about this franchise since then. But I would do anything to see like a remake or like a remaster for Jack and Dexter. I mean, Ratchet and Clank as well. I mean, I think that's a pretty great franchise, but I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't really been that interested in Rift Apart for Ratchet and Clank, even though I still don't have a PS5. I mean, I still think the game looks good, but I'm even if I did have a PS5, I don't think I would get it, but I digress. So, anyway, I kind of just wanted to make this video just to let you guys know what I feel about where we are in the gaming industry. I don't know if I'm the only person out there that thinks this. I don't know if I'm the only person that thinks that the gaming industry's kind of taking a dump right now, but the only games that are good now are like smaller indie developer titles. titles, for example. I mean, a good example, Wargroove. I've been talking about that game a lot, and I really had I showed it on the channel, I think like once or twice, but honestly, smaller indie games like that, they're actually far more fun to play, and those indie developers deserve more credit because they don't get a lot of credit nowadays. I mean, I personally think it's one of the best games that we have right now in the 2020 decade. Hell, I still think Wargroove is one of the best games out there, and I recommend anyone who's interested to go check it out. But other than that, I'm just upset because indie developers, they deserve more credit, and they actually make games that they care about. There's actual care into these games that indie developers make, and they don't get enough credit for it. So if you ask me personally, I think the indie developers deserve a good chance because that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm either at the point where I have to go back to my older titles on my older consoles, or I just get a random indie game, and that's actually far more fun to play instead of playing Call of Duty Vanguard, which was known as one of the worst Call of Duties of all time, even worse than Infinite Warfare. But I think you guys know what I'm trying to get at. I'm just upset right now because I'm trying to hold out a little bit of hope, but at this point, I'm starting to seriously question the gaming industry, and I'm definitely worried. So again, I don't know if I'm the only person that thinks this, but I am curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are in the comments down below. So with that being said, thank you guys all for listening. Let me know what you all think. Am I the only person that thinks this? Are you guys on the same boat as well? But I am curious once again, but I will say this. If we can get some more good games out there, I would be very happy and thankful. But right now, I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs playing older games. And until the gaming industry gets their head out of their butt, I'm going to stick with my older titles, and I'm going to stick with my Nintendo Switch until further notice. And of course, I will play games on my PlayStation and make videos because that's kind of where I make my videos. So anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry for rambling, and until next time, you guys, I'm calling out the gaming industry, and I'm just worried the direction that the gaming industry is going in, and I'll see you all later.